welcome to my channel. Today I'm bringing you the second scrapbooking process video using the 4kidsat147 kit for February. I've printed out one colour photo of my daughter on her 18th birthday when we went back home for cocktails. I've printed that about 3.5 by 3.5 inches. I've then also printed 6 photos on one 6 by 4, so they're just under 2 inches square. These are photos of other family members and another picture of my daughter on her cocktail evening. So I wanted to use the cut apart sheet by Pink Paisley from the C'est La Vie range. I really like the colours, the words, just the way the whole cut apart sheet itself looked together, and I thought it would be perfect for a block layout picture. So I've started pulling in different ones, mixing up the colours, mixing up the words a little bit, checking that they all fit right. Started putting in quite a few small little bits and then decided that they were best being put in once some things had started getting stuck down. So while I didn't mind having a gap between each of the different pieces, that didn't have to be exactly the same measurement wise in my opinion. I did want the border around the whole of the sheet of white cardstock to be the same, so that at least it looked as though I was doing a block on purpose. So I move a few different pieces around quite a few times before I decide that the layout's looking okay. I'm happy with most of the way the pieces look. I do try a few, switching them out, going back to what I originally had, but that's my way of knowing I'm happy with the way it looks. So I started up in the top corner, gluing some down with the start here, making sure that the edges round the edge of the cardstock were in the same place. And I do cut a lot of this out for you because it is quite boring, even for the person that's doing it. So you'll notice when I come back, a couple of the pieces I have switched for yellow. I found that I needed a couple more vertical pieces, and while most of them had words on, they didn't quite work. So I turned them over, which meant that I had a vertical element and it brought in a different colour. So the yellow came back into play again. On a couple I cut them into a banner just for a little bit of difference, so it wasn't too blocky. I pulled out the teal letter stickers and popped the title Cocktails on a piece of wax paper. Now you'll notice from the layout I show you at the beginning that this doesn't end up staying. I think the colouring was a little bit too harsh for this, seemed to be quite a soft layout. However, I did actually stick one of the see-through stickers straight onto the cardstock without backing it first. And because I'd done that, the ampersand that I had previously popped on a piece of white paper, I decided to use the other one on the sheet and stick that directly on as well. Now apologies if there's the odd flickering of light. This was done when the children were watching a movie behind me, and I haven't realised until I've looked back that this is showing on my screen even though I have got my lights on. So if it's flickering, it's obviously a good movie. They seem to be happy anyway to leave me alone to scrapbook. So I've brought in the cork hearts again with the gold fleck from the C'est La Vie collection. I do love these hearts. I have learnt and stuck them onto a piece of wax paper this time so that I can move them about and only stick them down when I was fully ready. So on trend as well with my last layout, I like to move embellishments about, mess about a little bit. You'll find I do that quite a bit. I try to cut out some of it that isn't relevant, but I like to leave a little bit in so that you can see how I try things, how they don't work, what my sort of thought process is while I'm doing it. So the chipboard heart at the top in the teal, I did like the idea of bringing that teal colour up to the top, but with a lot of the other things being in the middle of a square, I felt it didn't work with the fact that it was to the right. I brought in the Love chipboard because it brought in that lovely hot pink again, which seems to work so well with my eldest. But it didn't work on top of the original word that I had there. So I had another piece the same size with yellow on the back, and that really made the letters pop. I did like the way that looked. However, the piece that I pulled out had already been gone round in pen, which meant it had to happen with all the others. There was a couple of times my pen slightly slipped off the page and marked the white cardstock, but luckily, as my adhesive is very, very forgiving, I was able to just lift it up and move it over a little bit to hide that. So there are a couple of telltale signs hidden underneath. So once I've gone round all of those, I've brought back in my hearts, trying to remember where it was that I had them placed and was quite happy with before I took the decision to outline. So you'll find I bring in a few more of the crepe paper parts, have a little bit more of a mess around with those, trying to make sure that my colours are evenly distributed throughout the layout. And again, pulling off a few more crepe paper hearts. There are some nice soft pink ones in there, which at least one of them does make it to this layout. So I decided to take the title Cocktails off and just put the word love. This is going to the next to the other layout I made, which is my process video number 1 of my daughter. So it will quite clearly show that it is her 18th, and what the fact that she's holding a cocktail shaker should be enough to say that it was cocktails. So that will save me trying to fit that title in somewhere else. So I wanted to use the Heidi Swap pink stickers, with them being bright stickers and really suiting the colour. So the arrow across the top at start here, overlapping, brought it in one side, and then in the bottom corner I brought it in with a little flag that just says today. So that was quite simple. So I'm happy with the cork heart placement, which means they can come off the pieces of wax paper and they can stick down. And then the chipboard, as I've taken the backing sticky sheet off so I can move things about as I like to do, I need to then glue those back down. So I've just got out my glossy accents to do that, starting with the L and the E, so I could make sure that the other two were placed evenly in the middle. The heart on the left I'm not too sure about yet, which is why I've not quite glued that. So I do lift the layout up to see if I like it, and then try it with the heart on and with the heart off, and decide it's just a little bit too much all in one place. So that's my finished layout. I will lift it up so that you can see some of the sparkle and some of the glitter. But thank you very much for joining me. Please check out my other videos if you want to see what was included in this kit, so that you could always make your own and scrap along with me. Just checking that title again, but no, it doesn't stay.